5-minute salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas. Today's segment is sponsored by the Military Affairs and Veterans Department of the City of Jacksonville. Harrison Conyers and the team squaring away our veterans with the benefits they earned through their military service. Talking about veterans, specifically Marine veterans, we have Bret Jourden with NLogic. Bret, how are you?
Hey Chris, I'm doing well. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi? Yeah. He went to Paris Island. We could talk about the Paris Island MCRD, rivalry forever, but we'll pass on that this time. So, hey, let's tell the audience a little bit about you. So the 30 seconds. So where you originally from and what you do in the Marine Corps?
Yeah, I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, near the naval base there. Moved down to Huntsville, Alabama in 2003 with my family, and then joined the Marine Corps in 2016. My time in Marine Corps, I was a 0671 data systems administrator. So I worked with IT and cyber. I got out in 2022, moved back to the beautiful area of Huntsville, Alabama, where me and my family are now. And I'm currently working with the Army on a contract with their aviation headquarters.
That's awesome, man. So let's tell the audience, NLogic, what do you guys do and how do you do that?
So NLogic is a small, employee-owned contracting company. We pick up contracts in Alabama and, in Colorado Springs with the FBI, Department of Defense, et cetera. And we send highly professional people with an extremely well set of technical backgrounds to go out and support the warfighter with various different missions.
Now that's huge, and for our audience, because we're international now, I've interviewed somebody from Prague, somebody this morning from Jamaica, somebody from Dublin last week. For those not familiar with the Department of Defense, there's this idea, and people have heard of Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, but they do employ, and there's a bigger push right now for small businesses to provide services for the Department of Defense, and specifically in your area, you guys provide that expertise for those major commands, which is very crucial to what we do. So, now I appreciate that. So, it sounds like what you did in the military was a natural extension to your move to NLogic. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, I 100% agree. Right now I'm an information systems security officer, so all of that military background in IT and cyber translated right over into this position, and it's allowed me to excel in with the company and with the Army.
That's good. Hey, so Bret, because we got a lot of veterans that obviously watch this show, what's your one or two things for veterans that are, they may have done a full career and retired, or maybe they just done one enlistment. Those that are looking at, I'm a year out, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. What would Bret tell them to consider?
Yeah, 100%. I think being well prepared is an understatement. I think, people say patience is a wonderful virtue, and I think it is. I would add tolerance and perspective to that list. Have tolerance for your surroundings and entering into a completely new world with civilians. Perspective of where you are right now as you're still active duty and where you want to be. More often than not, whatever field you want to get into, there's writing on the wall, right? So there's a certificate, education, training that you might need to get into now while you're transitioning so that you can be better prepared and more successful when you leave.
No, that's great, man, and I appreciate that, because that's words of wisdom. If you could bottle that up and sell it, heck, you probably sell it on Amazon if you wanted, because I think you're right. You got to have a roadmap, and then I think there's the opportunity, because I had somebody called me 2 days ago for its advice. I said, what I did the second time I got out when I just retired was I wrote everything I didn't want to do first, and then I started to figure out what I wanted to do. And then from there, I templated who I wanted to do it with. So NLogic, did they find you or did you find them?
Well, I think networking is also a great piece of this story. So I joined the local Huntsville chapter of Marine Mafia. It's a group we have with Marine Corps veterans, and there I met a wonderful, amazing person who's also my mentor. He's the VP of the company. He knows me very well. He knows what's on my resume and how I can stand next to it, and said, hey, I've got a contract opening. Please apply. I went through several rounds of interviews and got the job.
That's huge, man. Yeah. So that's another strategy to the war of finding a job, right? Is a friend of mine, I'll give a shout out to Jay McGuire out in Austin, Texas, as he said, I don't think he's coined it because I heard it before, but your net work is your net worth. So those people that are going to go, Bret is a superhuman, I want Bret to be on my team, and I'm going to take that resume and I'm going to staff that around. It's amazing, right? I had like I said, a conversation with a guy in the Pentagon 2 days ago, and I said, man, I just noticed other veterans that are out there want to see you succeed, especially if you're a good quality person. So they may ask for your resume, and they may actually staff it around, and you may have, like, what's typically a 2 to 3 interviews. You may not even have one, or you might have just one in itself. So that's gigantic. So
yeah, absolutely.
So where do you see NLogic now, and where do you see them going into the future?
I see them only growing. I think, like you mentioned before, and how we were talking about Huntsville before this started, we do have the big players. We have the Boeings, we have Lockheed, we have Northrop Grumman, but the smaller companies sort of that are less mentioned, like NLogic, who are local here to Huntsville, they offer great employee benefits. They offer great, if you have a family, it's a great place to work. I only see them growing and finding that niche with, getting employees that love the area, love their community, and love that it gives back to that community, and they're only going to grow from here.
That's awesome. Hey, because as they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So having that culture where people want to come to work, they want to bond with those fellow employees is exponential for the company. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is an employee-owned and operated a company, correct?
It is, yes.
Yeah, and I think that's huge too, right? I mean, if everybody's bought in, everybody wants to see success, and everybody's going to be willing to put the calories in. That's gigantic. So, Bret, how do folks find NLogic, and how do they find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. My username on LinkedIn is Bret Jourden, just my first and last name after the whole URL. And NLogic, I think the website's just the letter N and then Logic. And then you can Google that in Huntsville, Alabama. You'll find our logo. It's black and gold. We have a website. We have a careers page. We also have a great LinkedIn presence as well. Our recruiter's very responsive on
That's
LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, hey, Bret, we're going to take all that contact information, put in our show notes. We'll publish out to the greater internet sphere and encourage folks to reach out to you and then reach out to NLogic if they got any questions. So thanks for your service in the Marine Corps. Without you doing that, we couldn't do this here today, and I look forward to staying in contact.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, and Semper Fi again.
Semper Fi, brother. Have a great weekend. Hey, folks, you like what you heard? Connect with Bret and I on LinkedIn. We'd love to continue the conversation. Take a look at NLogic, a great company out there, employee-owned and operated. That's very unusual in our nation. And, man, you can only imagine what a great culture they have there at that company. So we'll see you in our next segment. Live with gratitude.
When they leave us for battle, we await their return. When their embrace is gone, we imagine them with us. Some don't come back. We grieve. Some come back hurting. We help. Heroes survive. We honor them. Heroes fall. We remember them. 150,000 veterans live in Jacksonville. We serve them. We're the Military Affairs and Veterans Department, City of Jacksonville. Because of them, our light never dims.